Now, this is a cartoon I picked up ages ago, and then I found it again. But the comments, the words are mine, just to put it into a more discussable form. So the first panel says we have to recognize that we are being manipulated all the time, 24/7. We are being manipulated. Forget who is the big guy. So that is the situation now. So the first step is to realize that we are manipulated, and how that manipulation is carried out, and the waking up to these things will motivate us to sever the line of manipulation.
So in this illustration, it's someone with scissors.
That's what the little fellow realized. Not only that he is manipulating, but that he can do something about it. And then panel 3, speaking truth to power, and this is familiar to us because we have been talking about it. That is really the essence of a free person. Once he or she is not manipulated, is to challenge the entities, the authorities who had this influence over us while we were not aware of it. And the last one is most to be discussed. Now you can being prepared to being squashed by the puppet master may be interpreted as don't do anything because you will be squashed, or make sure that the perpetrators of manipulation are not going to be able to squash you. That's what is the positive hint here. Once you understand the nature of the perpetrator, forewarned is forearmed. This goes back to realizing that if you challenge a power system, it will kick back. It will produce a counterattack. But if you are prepared for the counterattack, then you can minimize its power to stop you in your tracks.
These cutouts and folders, you pass them on to Mike as well. You're carrying these around, and so is it at any opportunity if you're meeting people or by accident? How do you use all this information that you're carrying around?
I leave them on buses and tubes. I used to have some notices at Speaker's Corner, but I gave that up. But now I just think, I believe in subliminal information spread, and I assume somebody every now and then picks it up, and that is worth something, even if it is one person once a week finds something like that and find it curious enough to look further, and then.
And is there a contact email or something that you leave with the thing, or is it just?
No, I would because I thought about it. That would be too foolhardy, I would say, with such a scattergun approach of spreading
Where would
an
the
idea.
person who picks something up go from there?
Up to them how they respond. If they, it will start making them thinking. If they are receptive, seeing something will start them going in the mind, and they will find their own follow on.
And is it parts of your? Is it usually edits of things that you've read or whatever, or are you writing your own scripts as well?
It's mainly bits and pieces I pick up from other sources. There I do tend to acknowledge the source in a little note. Like on those leaflets, most of them have attribution when they are not mine original, but essentially it's I'm a bit of a mystic in this sense, and I think ideas they are not just nothing. They have got energy. When they impinge on consciousness, they will have an impact. Either I don't like it, yes, where can I see more about it? This sounds interesting. Now that's the power of ideas. And again, this is nothing new. Philosophers have always been discussing how important thinking is. So reality must start with a vision, an idea. For example, things like freedom and democracy is an idea, but it does have impact in the external world in various forms, however imperfect and incomplete. That's what is meant by things have to start with an idea. When we will have a properly working democracy, we will have it because the idea of democracy has been alive for 2,000 years and it's still potent. That's the power of ideas. When a set of ideas cluster together as a coherent assemblies, they form an ideology. So also we have to again realize that every dictatorship, every oppressive regime is claiming legitimacy through an ideology. And if we discredit that supporting ideology, we weaken the power of the perpetrator. Again, it's so important to realize how important ideas are.
Have you produced any leaflets this week?
The last which is not complete, is the final chapter of this book. What I usually do, I reproduce the frontispiece and part of a book. And the last chapter of this one is particularly potent in terms of strategy. It's only a few pages, but clearly highlights the framework. And the last chapter, well, it says conclusion.
And so your process is you read these books and then you digest them and you put. I mean, do you go through making notes? How do you?
Well, I don't actually summarize them. I usually get the most what seems to be most direct and self-contained bit of the book, and then make it into a leaflet like that. I scan it in, tidy it up because the scanner is not always perfect. And
what is it?
Well, the title of the book is Inventing the Future, Post-Capitalism and a World Without Work. That's it. But it's a full-out, unapologetic demand for a full implementation of the scientific technological know-how to go all out and eliminate the need for enforced labor.
And so would that be the core of what you would like explained in your the leaflet that you might make from that, or the text that you might take from that?
Yes, that there's no need to regard human beings as factors of production because so and so and so and so.
How many of these are you producing? So they're coming from the books that you're reading, or they're coming from programs you watch, or mainly
yes,
books?
And there are a few essays which come from me, which I put down, though they are all referring to my readings. I started producing these at the camp outside St. Paul at Occupy.
Well, that's when you first started.
Yes, that's right. And I carry on because even if people don't take any notice of something, that it registers with them, and it may come back in their life when something else prompts a memory.
Do you not see these in any way as part of critical thinking?
Well, in fact, yeah, I do think part of critical thinking, except I have not sorted myself out to organize it so that they can be presented as a set of selections within certain categories. I don't even have a list of the different leaflets at the moment.
But what you do have is you have these all set out as leaflets, don't you?
Yes.
Which means if they were put on the site, then people could download them.
Yes.
And print them up as the leaflets.
Yes. Yeah.
And then this would be a different thing than the daily pickings that actually complements the whole thing that we're kind of pushing towards.
Yes, it will be a different aspect or different perspective. What do you call it? Different facet.
Right.
I think that would be worth doing because you've gone to a lot of trouble over these, and you say you want to, spread the words around. And I would have thought getting them up on the website would be a good idea.
Well, we could have a section for the list of these, or preferably a selection which we would decide on as a group.
Yeah. Particularly if you put them in some sort of logical order, where
yes,
it
it needs to
tell
be
the story in some sort of as best it can do,
And so it would be the traveller involved changing ideas section.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.